Kayla's heart hammered as she pushed open the warped wooden door, the faint creak echoing through the hollow house. Rain dripped from her hoodie onto the dusty floorboards. The old woman's grip on her wrist was surprisingly strong, iron fingers wrapped in paper-thin skin. Flickering candlelight revealed walls lined with photographs, children playing in driveways, families at block parties, smiling faces frozen in time. Kayla's breath caught when her eyes landed on a picture of her own house, her mother waving from the porch. "How do you have these?" she whispered, her voice trembling, the woman's cloudy gray eyes sharpened. "Because I was here before any of you," she said, her voice low and steady. "Your family isn't the first to forget." She leaned closer, her breath smelling faintly of cedar. "My name is Eleanor Caro. They buried me in their memories, but I came back for the truth. If you're gripped already, make sure to like this story and subscribe for more suspenseful tales. New mysteries drop every week." Kayla's mind spun. Buried? Forgotten? The woman she had met just an hour ago looked like a harmless grandmother. Stooped shoulders, a faded brown coat patched at the elbows, scuffed black shoes. When Kayla first saw her shuffling along Sycamore Street, people had crossed the road, pretending not to notice. Drivers rolled up windows as the woman waved weakly for help, but Kayla couldn't look away. The woman seemed familiar, though Kayla couldn't place her face. Against the bitter wind, Kayla had stepped forward. "Ma'am, are you okay? Do you need help?" The woman had turned those cloudy eyes on her and whispered, "Take my hand, child. Time is shorter than you think." Despite the odd request, Kayla had wrapped her fingers around the woman's cold palm. The instant they touched, a jolt ran through her, like static electricity, sharp and startling. The woman's spine straightened slightly, and her voice grew steadier. "There's a house you must see," she said. "Yours is not the only life in danger tonight." Kayla thought of her mother waiting at home. Danger, it sounded ridiculous. But something in the woman's tone, urgent and commanding, drove Kayla to follow. They walked through alleys slick with rain, past shuttered storefronts and flickering street lamps. The woman said little, only murmuring names Kayla didn't recognize. Brenton, Lowe, Carter. Each name felt heavy, weighted with history. Finally, they reached 19 Sycamore, a house Kayla had never noticed, though she'd lived in the neighborhood her entire life. It sat back from the road, half hidden by overgrown hedges, its windows glowing faintly despite the darkness inside. The air around it felt colder, as if the storm itself avoided the property. The woman, Eleanor, squeezed Kayla's hand. "Everything you need to know is in here." Kayla hesitated. "Who are you, really?" Eleanor tilted her head, rain dripping from the brim of her wool hat. "I was the heiress they tried to erase. My father built this street. They stole what was mine, and your family's safety depends on you hearing the truth tonight." Kayla swallowed hard. Her neighborhood had once been owned by a single family. It sounded like a fairy tale or a threat. Yet Eleanor's eyes carried a certainty that made disbelief impossible. Inside, the air smelled of dust and something metallic. The hallway walls were lined with black and white photographs in mismatched frames. Kayla recognized streets, houses, even the local school, except the photos were decades old. Children with 1950s haircuts smiled stiffly. In several frames, Kayla spotted a young woman with striking cheekbones and a confident smile. The resemblance to Eleanor was unmistakable. "That's you," Kayla said. Eleanor nodded. "They told the world I vanished in 1962. They called me reckless. They called me dead. But I was locked away by those I trusted." Kayla shivered. "Locked away? Why?" Eleanor's expression hardened. "Because I refused to sell this land to developers who wanted to drive out families like yours. They thought wealth gave them power, but I had the deed and I hid it before they silenced me. Tonight, someone comes to destroy the last proof." A sudden crash echoed from upstairs. Kayla jumped. Eleanor gripped her hand tighter. "They're early," she whispered. "We must hurry." The old woman moved with surprising speed, leading Kayla down a narrow hallway to a study lit only by candlelight. Stacks of yellowed papers covered a massive oak desk. Eleanor rifled through them with shaking hands until she pulled out a small black tin box. Inside lay a single piece of parchment, its edges frayed, ink faded but legible. "The original deed," Eleanor said. "This paper keeps greedy hands away, but tonight they'll try to burn it." Another sound, a window slamming upstairs, made Kayla's pulse race. "Who's here?" Eleanor didn't answer. Instead, she thrust the tin box into Kayla's arms. "Run, hide it. If they catch me, it doesn't matter. The truth must survive." Footsteps thundered on the staircase. Kayla's instincts screamed to flee, but she stayed rooted. "No! I'm not leaving you." Eleanor's sharp eyes softened. "You're stronger than you know. That's why you were the only one who saw me tonight." The study door burst open. Two men in dark coats charged inside, faces obscured by rain-soaked hoods. One lunged for the desk, the other reached for Kayla. Kayla ducked, clutching the tin box to her chest. "Run, child!" Eleanor barked, stepping between Kayla and the intruders. Despite her frail frame, the old woman stood tall, her presence commanding. "Take one more step," she warned, "and you'll answer for every life you tried to erase." The men froze, as if an invisible force pinned them in place. One muttered a curse, but neither advanced. Kayla bolted through a side door, heart pounding, the tin box slick in her grasp. Behind her, Eleanor's voice rose, a fierce, almost supernatural command that echoed through the house. "You will not steal from me again!" Kayla burst into the rainy street, headlights flashing as a car screeched to a stop. It was her mother, eyes wide with terror. "Kayla, what are you doing out here?" Before Kayla could explain, a thunderous boom shook the ground. She turned to see the old house collapse inward, flames licking the roof though no fire had been lit. Her mother dragged her away as neighbors poured into the street. When Kayla looked back for Eleanor, there was nothing but smoke. Hours later, after firefighters extinguished the last embers, Kayla sat in the back of a police cruiser, the tin box clutched tight. Inside was the deed, protected by layers of wax. Officials found no trace of Eleanor Caro, no footprints, no remains. Some claimed the house had been abandoned for decades. Kayla knew better. She had felt Eleanor's grip, heard her voice, seen her photographs. The box in her hands proved it was real. When city investigators read the deed, the neighborhood's future changed overnight. The land rights Eleanor preserved blocked a development project that would have displaced dozens of families. Kayla's mother wept when she learned their home, and those of their neighbors, was safe. But Kayla kept one detail to herself. As the house burned, she had heard a whisper in the smoke, soft and certain. "Thank you, child. The chains are broken.